Welcome back to Taekwondo Lesson 23. This lesson we're going to get into the green belt skills. If you looked at Lesson 22, and I hope you did because you'll need to study that, this basic tutorial today is going to be on the skills requirement for the green belt level. The previous lesson was your knowledge requirement in regard to Buddhism. Wang Yo Hyung, the definition. This is a rendering of Wang Yo. Wang Yo was the noted monk who introduced Buddhism into the Silla dynasty in 686 AD. That introduction of Buddhism into the Silla dynasty would play a huge role on the influence of martial arts throughout Korea and Japan. Here is Wang Yo performed, starting with our Bokwon hand symbols. Let's slow Wang Yo down. Picture frame block to hitting elbow, followed by the follow-through punch. Hitting elbow, follow-through punch. We slide back, side kick is waist level, sudomaki, which is a double knife hand strike and or block. This Kwan Su is meant to be at the throat, fingertip strike. Again, picture frame, elbow, punch. Picture frame, hitting elbow, punch. This is called a rotary block. The rotary block symbolizes this idea of hubat, where you're using both hands to move, then counter, move, then counter. We'll do a hubat exercise, which comes from Kung Fu influence later. We finish with our Bokwon, hand symbolization, which means I bear no weapons. Let's look at the applications.
This one?
Let's take a look at this from a picture frame block going to a hitting elbow. It's a counter to Bruce's jab or cross punch. You'll notice that I'm using both arms, one as a block and one as a strike. This relates to the rotary drill, or something that the Chinese refer to as hubat, where we're using two hands in coordination in order to block and counter at the same time. Let's take a look at another application, a sinchong, or what the Japanese might call a bunkai, the application of the movements that you're doing. It's really important when you study kata or hyung to understand the movements so that you understand what it is the masters were trying to teach us. Let's change the angle on this a little bit and let's take another look at this bear hug detail. I want to read a book. I see something interesting, I show the pages to someone else. As I grab this hand, I'm moving to a third control. I step around in a clockwise method. This puts pressure up into the elbow tip, which is like the tip of the sword, dropping down, going to my first control, and I can counter with a kick. This is this idea of the rotary block. You'll be able to see this when I'm doing this movement where I'm using one hand to block and one hand to strike, moving it out of the way. This gets into then the idea of the hubat exercise performed here. Next is Jiban, which is basic drills and skills. We start with horse stance punching and then back fists, reverse punches, snap kick, side kick, round kick. We do front stance basics and back stance basics. You can expect to see these at almost every belt level and certainly on a black belt examination. Here we're doing some Jeyu Taian kickboxing skills and drills. We'll do these at each level, which is relatively new. What I'm doing here is a straight attack, snap kick to reverse punch. And this is going to emphasize the difference in that what I'm going to be teaching is what's called an angular attack. Notice how I'm stepping off at a 45-degree angle, what some people refer to as a slide step. And when we change the angle, we change our opportunities because it creates openings in our opponent. I'm going to throw my rear snap kick, and then I'm going to do an angulation change by coming off at the 45 here. I have to fill the space between Bruce and I with an immediate strike, which I use a jab on this slide step, angle change. That sets me up for this counter punch, which is my power strike, which is this reverse punch done here. Let's take another look at that. We'll switch sides. Now we're changing from open to closed book positions. It allows me to go to the inside line or the outside line. Bruce is demonstrating this technique as a straight line skill set, which is a back leg snap kick to cross punch. 1, 2, done here. We'll do that one more time so that you can see this idea of straight line, clearly different from the angle change that I did. On drill set number 6, we're working hand skills. This is going to be a jab to a cross, to a hook punch, to an uppercut, to a jab out.
So at this green belt level, the misu bisu, which is the martial technique, is to take some of the skill sets that you've learned and then apply this idea of an angle change or a slide step. So you can do this from any of the techniques, the white belt, the gold belt, the orange belt techniques. You can make it as simple as you wish. If you are in your fighting posture and you shoot jab and slide off, punch, so that's an angle change. You could do it from a kick, if I'm in my position here, kick, slide off, angle change. But the point is, I'll ask you to demonstrate some skill sets with an angle change, and you'll need to be able to do that.
Let's take a look at the Ho Sin Su, which are the self-defense techniques. We had previously filmed Ushiro Waza techniques. Bruce Holbrook was my uke with these skill sets. This is on the YouTube channel, so just check that out. It'll be part of your green belt requirements as far as study for rear attacks. Here we're looking at a long arm choke, and I'm demonstrating various techniques that can be done from that position. I like to spin and then trap what's called an entanglement, both arms. Here you'll notice that I bring the deltoid muscle up and it pins the hand somewhat against the side of my neck, which makes it more difficult for Bruce to get that hand off of my neck. I'm striking with the elbow, collecting both arms on an elbow locking method, and then doing a counter strike. Here's another version of that from a different angle with the uppercut strike. If we do it towards the camera, you'll notice again, hand comes up, deltoid traps that grasping hand so that he really can't let go so easily. Coming across, I can do an elbow strike there, or I can do this hiji shime, which is an elbow lock. The uppercut could be done, groin strike could be done, elbow strike could be done, lots of options.
At the orange belt level, we talked about kodagayashi and nikyo. Now we're going to add in, for this self-defense, the the third control, which is called Sankajo or Sankyo, and then also the first control, which is called Ikajo or Ikkyo. So if Bruce grabs, I'm executing the second control here. Then we went to Koregayashi here. The next movement in this exercise is sort of a training drill that we're learning, is to come at the fingers at this 90-degree angle. I want to turn the fingers around and up. This is called third control here. I'm going to reach on the inside. I will turn slightly, and then I bring the arm down into this arm bar, which is a first control. Let's do that on the other side so you can see that again. So again, these can all be done from a double grab. They can be done from a single grab. They can be done from a cross grab. They can be done from a chest grab. They can be done from a punch. All of these movements are applicable for any strikes, grabs, or attachment points. So this is a teaching method. So again, from the cross grab, I'm coming around, Nikyo, up, Koregayashi, 90-degree angle, roll the fingers out, coming to Sankyo here, and then I come down to an arm bar.
As most folks know, I do try to emphasize fitness at each belt level, so we always have physical fitness requirements that you'll see at these various belt levels. I do 35 repetitions of this movement or shuffle drill in place. When we talk about fitness, we can really go back to that initial self-defense explanation of the 7 principles that I felt were really important. Remember principle 1. Fitness, being able to last that combat minute. 60 seconds, all out in a street environment. Most folks can't do this. I see so many martial arts instructors who seem to be emphasizing fitness, meaning fitness pizza into my belly, and that's not what I'm talking about, guys. You should be able to maintain your fitness throughout your martial arts training, irregardless of your age. I'm pushing 70, and I can still do the 35s, which is what we're doing here. When we think about this idea of that combat minute, it's really just being able to last. At the green belt level, students may begin to be thinking about instruction and teaching. Having a warm-up and calisthenics prior to stretching helps to loosen the musculature and helps to bring the muscles up to core temperature. That's going to help to prevent injuries. Also, you want to balance your calisthenics warm-up. So if you're going to do sit-ups, you have to do some sort of an exercise for the lower back, like this pelvic thrust exercise. I borrow a lot of things from my military experience, and one of the things that I borrow is this idea of the military push-ups, which we go from a weighted position on the push-ups to a non-weighted position on the push-ups. That means that the muscles are going from a relaxed state where they're not bearing any tension at all to a state where there is tension. That really somewhat mimics what would be a street attack, where you're being attacked suddenly, you're relaxed, and now you have to contract, relax, and contract, much like these military-style push-ups that I'm doing here. Again, the magic number on all of these drills and skills, whether it's the shuffle in place, the jumping jacks, the sit-ups, the pelvic thrusts, or now, shown here, this military style of weighted and unweighted push-up, we want to try to get to that magic number, which is 35. And as I've explained in the past, the 35 symbolizes my 35 years in the military, which is why I picked that number on the calisthenics. Next up, if you were going to do one exercise that's going to get your heart rate up, that's going to stimulate muscular growth, muscular tone, and is going to help with some range of motion throughout the pelvic region, squats are going to be it. Here, we're doing our deep squats, and again, the magic number is 35. You know, in closing, when we think about this, I had a student on the YouTube site ask me why I don't wear stripes on my belt to signify my 8th Dan rank. I prefer to let my skill sets speak for that grade And I learned this from Master Ree. If you look at Master Ree, he doesn't have stripes on his belt. The idea is to let your skill set speak for itself. Guys, thanks for watching. And remember, Kodo, the active way. See you next time on Dane Harden Martial Arts on YouTube. Thanks for watching.